you and I have been talking about this project for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's dope that we can work together on it, you know, as one of the executive producers on the show. So I'm glad that we're working together and we get to play, chop it up, and really continue to build this out together. So
For sure.
Yeah,
I like that title, executive producer. Although I feel like when people say executive producer, you just kind of like dumping money into it. So I don't know. I like that.
You dumping time, effort, equipment, all of us, you know, are doing something that makes it work. So I think that deserves EP credit.
That's true.
So
that's true. But no, I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it. Just not only like the birth of the idea, or maybe not the birth of the idea, but the growth of the thought process of putting this idea together and actually being behind the camera, recording it, seeing it happen, and now being a participant in this game of domino.
That's what it is. It's homegrown, it's home built. Like, if I was gonna do it with anybody, you would certainly be a part of it, and like other homies are a part of it too. So I think that's what this is about showing our winning formula, and then hopefully it inspires people to figure out theirs, and we can provide them with tools and practices that we have developed. And it's all about sharing that with one another. And man, it's gonna be a good conversation today, though. It's gonna be a real good one.
No, I'm excited. I'm ready.
So we're gonna sip on some Aknanj, Akzana. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's Haitian rum.
Let me try it. That's easy. Accent. There you go, bro.
Haitian rum aged for 8 years. As you know, we try to highlight, you know, spirits that are featured here at Alkali Rye, where we record at. So today we're going to be sipping on some Haitian spirits. We have this rum, and then we also have this liqueur, which kind of serves as like a vermouth type drink. So we'll be able to try both, but let's start with the rum.
Okay.
Let me set you up. Ooh, it's a nice little happy pour.
We're gonna need it.
Yeah. I poured too quickly. Got excited for this game. So let's take a toast.
Toast.
And we're gonna get it in.
Oh, that's good.
That's nice. That's like a honey flavor to it.
Yeah. It's smooth too.
Yeah. It's really smooth.
I was never really into rums. I started like drinking more rums. I got more into smoking cigars, and then when I went to Cuba, I was able to try some really good rums out there. So
I mean, the Caribbean is historic for rum, you know. So the fact that Haiti is putting themselves on the map with this one, they off to a good start. So we're gonna play Four Houses.
All right. So 4 houses, 200.
200.
Okay.
We want to keep 4 doubles or not?
We can keep 4 doubles.
Okay, so we go cutthroat.
We'll do cutthroat.
Okay.
Okay, so if locked up points or...
Ooh, you getting real technical.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is we're going to lock it up and then we're going to have a discussion.
Okay, so let's go with, if we lock it up, you get domino.
Okay, domino.
Low end get domino, so it keeps the game going.
Okay.
All right?
Okay. That'll work. All right.
And as my guest, I will shake them up, but you know, whoever don't domino has to shake them up next time around. So we could get into how we met, but I wanted to start because of the premise of this series is centered around dominoes. When was your first experience playing dominoes? How'd you get into the game?
Man, to be honest, I think, you know, as a little kid, you play dominoes. I think I always knew the concept of dominoes, but when people ask me when I start playing dominoes, I think of it as like when I really started to understand the game. And it probably wasn't until I met you and started coming around the Domino League and just making a connection with with the people within our circle now to really get an understanding of the game and how it's played, both on a competitive level, right? Because I understood, I could count the points, I knew that you connect the same number to the same number, but there's a whole nother level of playing dominoes that this group and it makes it very competitive. So, 3-4 years ago, I think I really got into playing dominoes.
Yeah, I mean, we first met about 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we were at the barbershop.
Yeah.
Shout out to Destiny. She was giving you a haircut. She was my barber at the time, too. And we connected there. We talked. I was bringing over a T-shirt, an Uplifter shirt, dropping it off for her, and that's how we connected. And we started to build there. And then, you came through to one of the game nights, and I saw you kind of light up like, oh, there's strategy to this.
Yeah. So I think that part of dominoes is what really interests me, because I'm a strategic thinker, and I always like to figure things out. And when it's that element to the game, and I can feel like there's a piece of it that I could figure out, it really interests me. Yeah. And then on top of that, you're sitting at the table with other people, and so now your strategy constantly changes. So that's been a part of my makeup growing up, and everything that I did. Well, everything that I'm drawn to as far as my passion or what I like to do. So if you were to if my bio was read, it would have some element of, well, he likes to do this, but it includes learning a skill, but also being adaptive within that.
Yeah.
So
in terms of that, like learning a skill, like what was the first, I guess, form of game that you learned where like strategy was a part of it? That you were like, oh, I like this and I want to continue to develop that part of my brain?
Man, video games. I would say video games. I remember being maybe no more than 8 or 9. My pops would take me to, we had Kmart. I don't know if people know what Kmart.
Kmart, I heard. Black Friday was the best place.
So we go to Kmart, and then he'd give me like this roll of quarters. Now, before he gave me the quarters, I'd go to the magazine section. A lot of people don't know, they still have out. They used to have what's called magazines, right? Now everything is
Game Pro.
Digital. Yeah, so I'd go, I'd pull a magazine off the shelf, and I would literally sit on the floor and read the game magazine, and they'd have the combos and the finishing moves in the magazine.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I'd go read, I'd say it over and over, imprint it in my head, and then I go right to the machine in the front of the store and play.
Wow.
And so
there was an arcade.
It was an arcade. So it may have been like 4 or 5 machines, but I know they had Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken. And so fighting games was my thing. And so originally I started out playing the computer. And then, computer, once you figure out each character, there's a pattern. All right, you fight the first character, if you do light kick over and over, they can't block for whatever reason. And you figure those patterns out. So when the next human being comes and put their core in the machine, that's when the strategy of adapting comes into place.
Okay.
All right, so there's a phase in which you learn all of the moves. Right? So I use this today. I tell everybody, life is just like video games. Like you gotta learn every single move that your character can do.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't, you're always behind.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't, if you don't know how to throw a fireball, if you can't fall back on the basics, then you're lost when you get to that advanced stage. Right?
Yeah.
So if you know the basics, at any stage you can fall back on the basics, right? So you learn every single basic move that your character can do, and then it's about adapting to the person next to you.
Yeah.
Right? So I always keep that in mind. Even with dominoes, you gotta learn the basics, right? And then the basics become secondhand, and then you just adapt.
Totally, yeah. No, I could see that, because in a game, I am sticking to my basic routine and strategy around how I play, but I'm also adapting to the players at the table, because there might be someone that's looking to score or is very defensive or maybe playing a certain number. And so you look at those habits and figuring out ways to kind of strategize around how I address and counter it.
Yeah.
So video games was that first thing.
So it's video games, it was fighting games.
Okay, it was fighting games.
It's fighting games. And then it moved over to, I was never really into sporting games until they started being online. Yeah. And you could play people virtually.
Okay.
And I think for me, it was about just playing the game at first, but then there was this additional element with then playing it online, and even playing video games, period, right? You know, so much that I started playing in tournaments, right? So sport games, started playing in tournaments, but then you start to want a different level of understanding of the game. And I tell people a lot, right? You know, you always get people, oh, I could beat you in Madden, I could beat you. Yeah. And in my mind, there's about 1% to 2% of people that play the game differently than the rest of the world, right? So you get the people that play the game, they kind of just push buttons, right? Yeah. If you're at the domino table, you get people that walk up, hey, dominoes, I want to play,
right? And
they see a 5 and they put a 5 down, and they just trying to play with everybody, right? And then you get the people that play Madden that play it like a real game, like they're on the football field and it's they're trying to run a dive 45, and because their lineman is better than your lineman, that play should work. Yeah. Or they're running a slant, and because you're 5 yards off the line, the play should work. Yeah. Right. So and again, the people at the dominoes table, oh, this should work because X, Y, Z. Yeah. But then there's this really small percentage of people who understand that it is a computer. Yeah. And so there's limitations on computers. Yeah. Now in your mind, you think, all right, I can run this slant, it should work. Yeah. The computer may not work like that. So I spent, this is crazy, I spent about 6 months, right? And in the gaming world, we call it labbing. Okay. Right? You're basically in a lab. You may have 1 or 2 people that you play with constantly. You get in the lab and you run the same plays over and over and over again and find the little nuances within the computer that give you an advantage. So
you literally do the same play over and over and over? Like I'm going to do 45 dive every single time and I'm going to run different ways. I'm going to wait for blocks to kind of set up and everything and just keep running it until...
Yeah. So let's just say I run that play. Yeah. First thing I do, I notice how the computer makes the lineman react. Then so off screen, I may motion my receiver in, and right before he gets on screen, hike the ball, and I notice how the line moves, right? So because now the computer sees a different picture.
So you're playing with different variations
of the computer. So I'm playing with different variations on the same play.
Wow.
I remember winning a tournament in Madden, running 2 plays.
Just 2?
Just 2 plays. But I had about 6 variations to each play. And they looked like 12 plays, but they were just 2 plays.
Huh. I think I pretty much probably do the same thing in dominoes. I don't know if you do. Like, if I have a double, I'm always going to play a double first. Yeah. I think usually I'm going to. That's like one of my strategies, just because the probability of playing a double is lessened based on the number of dominoes on the table, and you just don't have a variability with the same number. Right. But that's fascinating because I've heard that about in the gaming world. Like some of the Madden players that are champions, they don't look like they played a day of football in their life.
Do not. They don't. They just have a understanding of how computers work. Yeah. And a lot of those tournaments, and like now I host tournaments now. People, you'll hear people getting mad. Oh, they're just doing this. They're just doing that. But when you're thinking tournament, and this goes with dominoes as well. You don't take a lot of risk, right? You do what works. Yeah. You go with the basics. Yeah. And if the basics are working, you're a master of the basics. Yeah. If your opponent can't defend the basics, why do you get flashy? Yeah. And so people will get mad because you're running the same play over and over again. Yeah. But when there's money attached to it, I'm not going to change my strategy. So it's a different thinking.
That's interesting. Is it the same way on defense too? You run the same plays on defense as well?
Same way on defense. Defense is a little bit different. Okay. Because you make adjustments. You have to be a lot quicker, right? There's a lot of adjustments you have to make prior to the snap. And if you were to record like my fingers, if I'm on defense, you will see my fingers just going crazy. because I'm cycling through players, making them do individual adjustments because the computer, and again, I'm telling all my strategy, but say you come out in a man-to-man.
Yeah.
The computer will look at it as a man-to-man. If I came out in a zone, but manually put everybody in a man-to-man, I run a completely different defense. And your offense reacts to it totally different.
Totally different because they're seeing man-to-man.
They're seeing zone.
They're seeing zone, but
I'm running man-to-man.
Yeah, so their computer is anticipating that you're going to be in a zone, and then someone's going to shoot the gap or something.
So all you need is that split second of the computer readjusting.
So, okay. By the way, let's start.
Okay.
You big six?
Nope.
Let me in. I got 10. So, this is interesting because it's all about strategy. So when you're playing, are you giving your opponent time to adjust because you have to like set up quickly, right?
Yeah.
So is that person also playing against the clock to be able to, so that you don't set up in time to be able to make those adjustments?
Yeah. So if I'm sitting next to someone, they see the cycle that I go through.
Yeah.
If I'm playing online, they don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm beating them on a certain play, they may try to snap it quick snap or catch me off guard while I'm setting things up.
Yeah.
And so strategically, I set up, so while I'm cycling through, I change my line, I change my linebackers, I change my secondary.
Yeah.
I change what's the most important first, and then I work my way. So if I absolutely need my line to do something, I'll change that first. Just in case you catch me off guard, I'm safer than getting caught changing my DBs and my line gets messed up. So you do have to be quick. Now sometimes if I'm beating an opponent, sometimes I'll stop just so they'll get relaxed and say, okay, I figured him out.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And then I'll go back. So.
Interesting. So we'll get off of video games because I can go down the rabbit hole with that. Because
Let me get 10.
Okay.
Well, before we get off.
Okay. So video games was like your first introduction to like strategy where you started to kind of master the game. Were there people that you were doing that with? Or like, where was that interest coming from? Was it like, I just love video games and I'm going to start entering tournaments? Or was it like you and friends? Or was it like a group of people that like influenced that?
Yeah, so early on, it was just me.
Okay.
I think I liked video games a lot because it gave me and my pops time to spend together.
Okay.
Pops is, I see a lot of myself in my pops. Now, he
was a gamer.
He was not a gamer.
Okay.
Dads are weird when it comes to games, right? He moves the joystick thinking that it's gonna influence the way he moves. But he's trying because he wanted to be a part of what I like.
Yeah.
And I think vice versa. I played because it was he was there and we had conversations.
Yeah.
So I think starting out, it was just kind of me. And I didn't really have a lot of friends in my circle that played video games. My brother played, but he wasn't that good initially. But as I got older, there was a community. I found out there was a community of people that play video games on that level.
And this is you're from Jackson, Mississippi?
Jackson, Mississippi. Now, this wasn't in Jackson. This is after I graduated college and moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you found this community after.
Found that community after. Now, in college, I was playing, but again, I wasn't at 1% to 2%. I was in between the group that said, hey, it's supposed to work like this, and the 1% to 2%, because I always had that thinking, but I did not break it down to be a part of that group yet. So I played in college. Crazy. I didn't really play when I graduated. It's kind of going to work, things like that. Met some people that played, but I still didn't really play. And then I ended up getting laid off. And looking for a job, couldn't find one for like a year. And video games became like my stress reliever. It allowed me to still use my brain to think and analyze and create this space where I felt like I was doing something and kind of get away from not working. So I started to get more and more into it then, and then started to build those communities around that. And then ended up finding a community in Atlanta that hosted tournaments on a regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you started playing professionally, I guess, or was it considered like amateur?
I would say professionally. They were tournaments, paid tournaments.
Paid tournaments.
Paid out tournaments, trophies involved.
Yeah.
I played a Madden professional tournament at a mall. That was interesting. The rules were a lot different, but it's just interesting to see how many people came out to play.
What's the crowd like? Is it like dominoes? It's like we get, maybe 16, 17 people out there. Is it
It's maybe 120 people.
Okay, so it's a bigger community.
Yeah. So we're talking a mall,
Yeah.
and it has the whole floor is just full of gaming systems.
Wow.
And you have a time slot where you show up, you play, and come in and come out.
Yeah.
And they try to get as many people in and out as possible. So the rules change throughout the day.
Yeah. And so when you started to get into that 1% to 2% as you were playing, was there something that you were doing to, other than, studying the game and like, doing the labbing, were there other things that you were doing? Were you studying opponents and trying to understand their strategies as well?
Yeah, that's the bigger piece of it, right? Because again, I know the basics.
Yeah.
And then as I learn what the computer will allow you to do, that becomes my basics.
Yeah.
So I know every time I do this, it does it. So my pot or my bucket of basics is bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's about learning the opponent. And I mean, you could literally feel like what an opponent is about to run. Mm-hmm. And you play throughout the game and you get a sense of how they like to run the ball, what zones they like to play in defense, how they are as an opponent, right? A lot of players like to pass, a lot of players like to run. So you start to understand that about your opponent. Yeah. And sometimes you play to their strength, right? It's strategy, right? You want to allow them to think they got you, right? Yeah. And so a lot of times what I would do is keep the games close, right? Keep the games really close.
And why is that? Because can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
If it's close, you start to rationalize what you should be doing, and it might create human error, and so you put that person in that predicament.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So it does that, but it also gets the person comfortable. So a lot of times I'll keep the game close, and at the end I'll speed it up, right? Because I was in the circle, I was known for a high-powered offense, right? So I could literally score anytime I had the ball. Now my defense wasn't top tier, but I felt like if I had the ball last.
Don't mean to interrupt, but it says that you have no space on your card.
Okay. We'll pause it.
Yeah, you good now. Solid. Let me move this out the way. So it's your play, and you was talking about speeding up the game.
Yeah, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll play to my opponent's strength, right? If they play at a slower pace, and allow them to be comfortable. And then knowing that I can speed the game up at any time, I'll speed it up maybe when the game, when you only have one more possession left. Because typically a slower player will need to have the ball last, or they will need to have the last play. They'll need to have enough time to make that play. Well, if you speed it up at the end to where it's in your hands, right, then they're uncomfortable.
Gotcha.
Right? And so then if you could score and leave them not enough time to do what they normally do, then now they're doing something outside of what they typically do.
Yeah.
So the whole game, while they're figuring you out, they're doing what they do. But you're allowing them to do what they do.
Yeah.
And then you throw a wrinkle in, and what they don't like is being under the pressure. Yeah. All right. So that's one of the strategies when you're playing next to someone. It works a lot when you're playing next to someone, because then there's an element of trash talking. There's an element of for some reason it gets hotter in the room. You sweat.
You got the audience looking at you.
People whispering in the back, and that it could be a cat whispering, and it's magnified. You do something wrong, and everybody in the room talking about it. You know, so I love playing people face to face. Online is cool. You do get people that quit a lot.
Yeah.
But face to face, it's something about it. All right, so it's my play.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in life, have you taken the game of gaming, of e-gaming, or just video gaming, and have you kind of taken that? Have you leveraged those lessons and insights into like your life path?
Yeah, so I mean, even now, all right. So I think like a gamer when I'm investing.
Okay.
So I do invest. I teach people about investing, and the thing that made me that drew me to investing was the fact that, again, it had that element of learning the basics, but then there's this ever changing element to it where you always have to tweak what you're doing. So I take that gaming concept to that, right? I learn the basics, everything that's in the textbook that they give us. But then there's an element to investing, right? You're not just investing by yourself, you're investing against other people. Yeah. So then you have to think like other people are thinking. You have to think how people are thinking that are making more money than you. You have to think how people are thinking that aren't making as much money than you. Right? And so you have to kind of put yourself in different people's shoes and make tweaks to your strategy.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up the financial investment and the literacy part of that and the strategy around that, because I think you've been really instrumental in me learning about it. Like you and I have conversations about that. I'm a part of groups that you facilitate conversations around investment. But what drew you to investment? Was it strategy? What was it, or was it something else? Was it something that you were like, you know what, I need to understand money and how it moves?
Initially, let me get this out of my hand.
Okay.
Initially, it was the strategy and the whole what I explained about gaming, right? There's that element of figuring things out, but then there's that element of adjusting on the fly. And I love that that's what I love about dominoes, right? You play it, the basics, but then it's like each game, a different opponent, a different environment. You know, the dominoes you pull differently, right? So that's what drew me initially to investing. I never really thought of investing as a part-time job or something that could financially put me in a different position.
Really?
When the first time I was introduced to investing, I think I maybe was in the 6th or 7th grade.
Okay.
We grew up poor, but I think one of the things my parents made sure we had was a computer. And it was an old computer, but you could get on the internet, not while somebody was on the phone, but you could get on the internet, and I started reading about different brokerages. I think E-Trade was the first brokerage I learned about, and I opened up an E-Trade account. Now, I'm not sure at that age, legally, I was supposed to be able to open up one, but I checked everything.
You hit all the consent forms. Like
they probably asked me, am I 18 or older? I just hit yes on everything, right? I think even now today, E-Trade hits me up and be like, hey, your account's still open. I'm just like, I don't know why. But I opened it up, and my oldest brother, he used to talk about investing a lot. I don't think he really understood it.
Yeah.
But he used to talk about it because it was something new to us. So he was like, yeah, he was like, I think we should buy stocks in this one company. And so I didn't know what a stock was. I was like, all right, cool. So he was like, yeah, I think we should buy this company. It's going to blow up. It's going to be pretty big. That company was eBay. Now you could imagine, what was this, 1990, I don't know, 1994, 95. Yeah. My brother didn't know what investing was per se, but he heard it from somewhere. So that was my introduction to it.
Wow. Did he end up buying any of it?
Did not end up buying it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we didn't really know.
But she was onto something.
But we was onto something, right? He planted that seed. Yeah. So it was always in my head. I had the E-Trade account maybe since 1996.
Bro,
it is crazy because they probably, if I had made some money, they probably could have challenged it and be like, "Nah, you're not old enough to have this account."
Yeah.
So I opened up an account then, but I didn't really do anything with it until I graduated from college. So we're talking about 15 years later. Yeah. I think, if my math is correct. So
Yeah.
15 years later, I started to say, all right, this investing thing, something I might want to do. So I looked at it as initially I looked at it as like, I want to make some money. Now, not knowing that that element was there, I discovered that element of the evolving thinking about investing. And that what kept me in investing, right? Because initially I was losing money.
Yeah.
Right? I put money in, pulled money out. I think I lost more money just off commission fees.
Off commission fees?
Like
Damn.
they was hitting your boy for $9.99. This is back when, like nowadays, they have commission-free trading.
Yeah.
Back then it was $9.99 per trade. I'm like, I'm only investing $20.
You're losing half of your investment each time.
I buy it and then sell it. Y'all just made $20. So
Damn.
not knowing anything, right?
Yeah.
But then I started to really see kind of that element of, all right, it's something I need to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Like you had to get burned a few times in order to start learning. Like, what are the intricacies of this that I can get to help me take advantage?
Yeah.
And it seems like your gaming background helps you understand. Like you said, like I was able to apply a lot of that strategy to be like, okay, what should I be looking for?
Yeah.
And how do I do this differently so that I'm not taking losses?
Yeah. Let's go. It's my play.
Yeah, it's your play. That's what we doing over here, huh? I'll take 5. And then to be like, it's interesting that you say, I opened up an E-Trade account in 1994, bro. Like, what were you, like 10, 11?
Maybe 7th or 8th grade. So maybe 13, 14.
Yeah, so like to be that young.
Yeah.
And now it seems like we're in a time where everybody's talking about trading and investing, whether it be in stocks and bonds or in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It was almost like you were ahead of the curve
to some extent.
To some extent.
I teach people now, like I'm talking to people and they're 30, 40, 50 years old. They don't know what a brokerage account is, right?
Wow.
So to think I opened my first one when I was like 13 is kind of crazy. And the brokerage account, that's the first step. Like that's how you get into it. So the importance of understanding how brokerage accounts work and opening them up really helped me, and how they move money around really helped me understand the flexibility I had in investing in these companies.
Yeah. So as far as you developing strategies and learning the basics, were there mentors that you came across or have come across in developing your financial literacy? Or was it like you just looked in the books and were studying like the school of YouTube? Like what was it? Like what were those ways for you to cultivate the knowledge?
Let me play this. So
Savage.
You would have a play. All right, that's done.
That's 5 for you.
All right.
So what was your pathway to developing those skills?
So initially, I was just kind of winging it. Right? I did a lot of reading. I would find myself waking up like at 4 o'clock in the morning. Because at this time, I think, so rewind a little bit. When I got out of college, I started to explore investing a little bit more. But then I kind of put it down, and I didn't get back into it until I moved out to the West Coast.
Okay.
And so when I moved out to the West Coast, it became, I started to really flip the switch, and that's when I started to be put a lot more time into it.
And what was the reason for you putting more time into it?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think it was just starting to understand finances holistically.
Okay.
I think at that time I had went through some things. Credit was jacked up, and so I initially started to rebuild my credit. And then I was texting my brother. So it initially started out just me and my brother texting back and forth. Hey, what do you think about buying this? What do you think about buying that? Now, this is my younger brother. My oldest brother put the seed in my head, but it's me and my younger brother that are going back and forth. Because you can kind of see how the generation shifted, right?
Yeah.
It was an idea, concept with my oldest brother, but my youngest brother, me and him were more back and forth. Like, what
You
do
guys were the executors.
Yeah, we were the
executors.
ideas.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of buying stuff on a whim, right? We would buy certain penny stocks, right, off of news that we were hearing.
Yeah.
And there was this excitement about, the next big thing, right? And so that kept us into the game because we were excited about it. So I would wake up 4 o'clock every morning and just read articles. Whatever my phone would send me, I read articles.
You were that little kid sitting in the Kmart.
I was the little kid.
And now you were, I'm waking up every single day to study this.
Yep. I sat on the aisle, sat on the floor, and opened it up and started to learn the plays.
Yeah.
And so that was about a year, 2 years. That's all I did was read. So that contributed to kind of the learning the basics. Right? I was filling that bucket of basics.
Yeah.
And we were buying stocks here and there, not really knowing like the other part to stocks. We were buying it off the basics that we had learned. We didn't know that we were playing against other people. A lot of people don't know, right? So it's like, imagine going into the arcade, you putting your quarter in and you're playing a computer, right? And like I said, you learn those strategies that on Street Fighter. If I pick Ken and I'm fighting Ryu, the first round, I could do these 2 moves and beat him in X amount of seconds, right? So that was me in the stock market.
Yeah.
I learned the basics. It should be easy. I could make money. It wasn't, I didn't know I was playing an invisible person standing next to me. Yeah. And so the strategy was constantly changing. Yeah. So my basics weren't working. I knew the basics, but they weren't working. So I had to try to figure out how do I get a hold, or how do I keep a hold to more of my money.
Yeah. Because there are probably levels of types of investors. There are those that are studying like you are. There are those that have the knowledge and understand the fundamentals and everything that's going on and the human behaviors that drive the market in the way that it does. Yep. Like you had to be studying for 1 to 2 years at least to be able to get that down.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I got to year 2 or 3 that I really started to catch a stride. And around year 2 or 3, we added another person to the text chain. So it's me, my brother, and another homie from college. And I didn't know he was investing. He was investing in college, which is crazy. I didn't even notice. Like he was doing it, but he was buying things in college. And so another friend said, "Hey, Tron does this as well." So I texted him, brought him in. So it's me, him, my brother, and his text. So then somebody else came aboard. Somebody else I was like, all right, well, I can't do this whole green bubble thing popping up. Like, let's jump on a group chat. So we ended up creating a group on a group chat, group meet, and we just start sharing information. I think that was instrumental in accelerating my knowledge as well as everybody else's, right? Because I'm not an expert, but I think when you get in a circle and you can share information, you've got 4 or 5 people pulling information. You got 4 or 5 people sitting on the floor with you, looking through the magazine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They can tell you the plays.
Yeah.
So we were building knowledge. I mean, and it accelerated my knowledge, right? I started to get better, started to see better returns. Yeah. I started to add more and more tools to my tool belt, and I started to understand that there's a different world outside of just the basics. Yeah. Which is heavily involved in human behavior and the psychology of money and the supply and demand of stocks and things like that.
Totally. What stands out to me in what you just shared is your understanding that the way that I increase my knowledge around strategy and the ways that I can be better in this was I need to grow the community that I'm a part of. And in that, people will share and will continue to kind of reinforce the learning for everyone. Yeah. And I mean, this is, in the age that we're living in now, where like clubhouses and all of these groups, these group forums are popping up for people to build wealth. You guys were doing that long before that these things came about that we now know of in our public atmosphere. But like that, you were growing that community. It's something that stands out to me because that's what we built together in Dominoes, is that there was this community, and we get better playing by playing against one another. And like the level of the players helps increase our ability to be better players.
Yeah. I think where those groups that are created now are missing a big piece is that they're trying to accelerate the growth part. All right, so you create the community to grow. A lot of people come in those communities to be at the finish line. Right? They want to get.
That's so true.
They want to know all the combos, right? And they don't want to practice, right? They don't want to learn how the combos work against various opponents. They just want to learn the strategy that's going to get them to XYZ. Right. And so they miss the conversations. They miss growing in the community. But I think applications like Clubhouse do open us up to talking about it. In which that was my initial purpose for creating, just to get the conversation. I always imagine that we sit around and talk about investing like we sit around and talk about anything else.
No, it's definitely a conversation because I've witnessed it, like being a part of that group thread, like seeing people win. Like our friends who they probably weren't investing 6 months ago, they are now. And like we can get into like, it's a different conversation we could be having around stocks and all the things, around options and all that. But like witnessing our people in our community actualize financial wealth for themselves. Like, and sharing that with the community and being like, thank you. And like everybody, not just being like, yo, I won, but like, yo, this actually works. And that's been really, really dope to watch and witness and observe, not just by one person in the community, but like multiple people within that community. And it didn't have to be millions of people on the thread. It was just 50 or 60, 70 people on there sharing knowledge with one another.
And it's, man, I think what I enjoy seeing now is when people give shout outs to, like, a lot of people don't even know I'm the person that started the group. I've got a homie that I hit up, and I was like, hey, I don't know what I text him. I text him. So we had the group chat, but then I DM'd him a different chat within the same group chat. And I was like, I asked him a question. He was like, wait. He was like, that's you in the group chat? He was like, you started this? I was like, yeah. And now we're like 300, 400 people in. He was like, yo, I did not even know that. I was like, a lot of people don't know. Because, I mean, you could see kind of who's the owner of it, but a lot of people don't check it. But it's good to see people like, be like, oh, this group has changed my life. Like, there's some good knowledge that's being shared here. Or other people adding people into the group chat. Initially, I held it close to the vest. I didn't want to relinquish other people adding people. But then at some point I was like, you know what? This group is getting bigger than just me and the 4 or 5 people that started it. And so I was like, I'm just going to open it up, and people, they've been allowed to, add people as it goes. Because I didn't want it to be one of those groups where people just came in and they didn't really participate. I didn't know who was, why are they there? And then investing for us as a community has been a sour spot, right? Anytime you talk about money, we are conditioned, or I've been conditioned to think, well, look out for a scam. Anytime you get invited to a meeting where you're talking about a business idea, it's like, all right, how much do I have to pay tonight? What multi-level marketing scheme is got going on? We always are looking for a reason not to give someone or relinquish our money. And so I took that personal because I didn't want people to get a bad taste in their mouth about this investing. And so I wanted to control who was let in and who kind of participated. And to some extent, I think we've built that culture, and not just, hey, people posting, hey, check out this new thing. Hey, come to this event. You know, I wanted to stay away from that. I wanted people to feed the group with information. And I'm all for people putting in information and taking away eyes and people that want to support what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to make it an environment where if you're coming in and asking people for something, give them something.
Yeah.
So I think we did a great job of it. Man, and just for me, when people say kudos or they talk great about the group, it really feels good. It feels like I accomplished what I wanted to do.
Yeah. What was, and this is deeper into the details, like what was that piece of yourself that you worked on to be able to let go and relinquish some of that control?
Well, I think I just got to a point to where I realized that the group was bigger than me. Like I said, I was getting up at 4 o'clock every morning. Still had a 9 to 5.
Right. Right.
Getting up at 4, and I was answering every single person's question.
Golly.
Right. So initially,
He was everybody's Google.
Yeah, 20, and people were asking the same questions over and over again, and I felt obligated,
Right.
to be the person to answer those questions. So I'm answering everybody's questions, and then the group grew 30 to 40 people. You know, and then I was like, man, I can't do this all the time, right? Because not that I enjoyed it, but what was my purpose behind creating a group was to create people like me. And so I was like, you know what? I gotta step back. So I put in a group, I said, I want to challenge everybody. I was like, if you learned something, I was like, and you bring somebody new in the group, you should be the first person to answer their questions if they ask one. I was like, if you've learned something and you benefited from this group, I was like, you should be the first person to respond to a new person's question. I was like, even if they asked a question that was just asked the day before. I was like, take ownership of who you brought in.
Yeah. Wow. Right. That's accountability right there.
So I put it back on everybody else. And I was able to ease back a little bit. I still enjoy the interaction, talking to people, but it's good now to see people stepping up and answering those what people may deem repetitive questions, because it allows them to learn. But it also, you know, it takes a lot of weight off myself to kind of own this group. And so again, I realized that to get it bigger than what I wanted to get it bigger than, I had to kind of step back and challenge everybody else to be who I was.
Yeah. And I just see so many parallels, like between the domino community that we're a part of, this investment community that we're a part of. I ain't a part of the gaming community, but I feel like in every space that you operate within, I mean, from my observations and knowing you, is that it's all about creating spaces for people to be able to get better. And so even if it's gaming, it's like you're sharing the knowledge. Like you're not possessing it and saying, hey, this is mine for me to control and hone. But like if I share it, someone else might be able to take advantage and then be able to improve themselves and better themselves.
Yeah. I mean, even gaming, if all you do is play by yourself, you show up to a tournament, you're gonna get beat. You're gonna be bad. Right? The best way for you to get better is to learn with someone else. Bring other people in. You learn their skills, they learn your skills. It's a good trade-off. And then when y'all show up to tournaments, hope y'all don't play each other to the end. Right? But it's, you know, if you find people who are strong in the area that you're weak in and you practice with them, you become strong in that area as well. And so again, we did that all the time in gaming, and then just people knew we lab together, and so they were kind of respected and put us on separate sides of the tournament bracket, so that if we met, but you know, sometimes you have to see your best friend in the first round, and it's, you know, let's figure out who really been paying attention.
So how do you find ways? You still game, right?
Still game.
And you're investing still, and you hold a 9 to 5. How do you balance all of those interests of yours and prioritize them? And it's yours to pull too.
So let me pull.
Yeah, how do you manage it? Because I think there's a lot of us. I'm like you. We work on these creative projects. We still hold down a 9 to 5. We have our interests, whether it be the investment or the relationships that we have that are important to us. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you maintain, your time and focusing on all of those things?
So right now, I'm working on some content. Host and game, invest, and then I have the community of people that are investing that I work with. I think for me, it's getting to a level in each of those to where you can kind of take a step back, and it looks different in each aspect, right? So as far as creating the content, what I'm doing now is I'm building up the content, and then I'm going to release it, right? So now I have a bag of content, I'm releasing it, and I can kind of step away from that and focus on something else. With the gaming, I was heavy into, if this was 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be the one out promoting the tournaments, things like that, hosting it, taking the money. Now, I'm more so on just hosting, and I'll participate if I need to. So I'm still a part of it. I still understand it. I'll stream it, but it's not my full-time thing, right? To be in every aspect of gaming, right? So I'll do gaming. We do it on the weekend. I may play a little bit to keep my skill set up, but I'll focus, right? I'll separate or create that time to where, all right, this time is for this gaming. Investing, initially I was waking up at 4 and reading and going full speed until the market closed. Now I've shifted my investing from a trader to more of a long-term investor. Right? Okay. So now a lot of my investing is on coast mode. So I don't put as much energy.
So you're not options trading, right, and constantly monitoring the market the way that you once did.
Correct, because I'm putting a lot of focus on the content. Now, once the content is built, I can now reallocate that time to something else. Yeah. So it's about, even if you got your hand in a lot of things, deciding which one needs the most focus. For me, it's building up that piece and then being able to walk away, or just monitor it from a distance. Right, just like the group chat. I had to, like, if I'm going to get to the point to where I want to do something else, I gotta get to a point to where I can take my hands off of it and say, let it kind of be an ecosystem in itself. So that's been my strategy and kind of how I balance things.
Yeah, that's I think an interesting way to go about it, right? Because it seems like you're allowing yourself to do more because you've built muscle memories in other spaces that don't require as much attention to detail, and that you probably have laid a solid foundation, and that allows for you to not have to be so in the weeds.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't easy all along the way, though.
No, it's definitely not easy because, again...
15? Let me get that.
Here we go. This way I try to catch where I'm going.
Yeah, I got to speed up the game a little.
Right, let's speed up a little bit.
I'm just messing around.
It hasn't always been easy because I like a certain level of control because, again, with everything I do, I feel a certain level of responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, if someone were to come into my group chat and give some terrible information, I feel like I let that person in and allowed them to give terrible information. And now everybody has a bad taste in their mouth. So I take accountability and responsibility for that. Yeah. So it's hard to kind of let go of some things, right? Yeah. Building content right now. I'm learning editing and things like that, right? It's taken a lot of time, but I enjoy it and I want to do it. But I have to, realize, like, if I'm going to step away from it, I got to figure out how I can delegate. So as I got older, I started to shift, you know what I'm saying? Because I do want more time to do more things.
Yeah.
And so just becoming more aware of how I can delegate things, finding the value in paying people to do things, right? Because there's a cost to do business.
Yeah.
But then there's a cost. There's a positive and a negative effect to doing business, right?
Totally.
You know, what will you make, right? But how much time will you lose doing that?
Yeah, no, I relate to the investing and obviously I think that's always something is like paying the people that can help you do something better or grow it. I think that's always the struggle, right? Mm-hmm. Like you want to be able to pay people. You may not be in the position to be able to pay them, but like how do you go about strategizing to create opportunities for this thing to grow, knowing that you may not be able to pay people their worth at that point in time.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think if you can, you do it. But I personally sometimes struggle to. I think what has held me back in terms of building something is knowing that I wasn't able to pay someone, and that's what's possibly not allowed for things to manifest as quickly. Is because I was like so caught up in the fact that I didn't have people. But I think being in a position where you built the group thread, you weren't paying people to do something. Like they actually believed in the vision, right? They saw it for themselves and saw that they could help other people along the way. Like there's something powerful about that it doesn't always require money to make something happen.
True. And I started to understand that. I was like, how can you, I have this written up on my board, like give people value, like give value to people.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't necessarily mean money.
Yeah.
Right. How can I give someone value? Right. And I think through giving them information, because I was always good at, it's my play. Okay. Let's do 10.
Okay.
I was always good at understanding concepts and breaking them down to the simplest form. And so my gift...
It's like the same 10?
My gift to people was doing just that, right? I take these concepts of investing and give it to them in the simplest form. So I'm giving them value.
Yeah.
I think through that, I've had people reach out to me and be like, I'll put on the group chat, hey, I'm looking for somebody to edit XYZ. And people will hit me up and say, hey, I got a guy. And then next thing I know, that person is getting invited to the group chat. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that value in giving people value, whether it's monetary or information, I think don't underestimate how much that means to people.
Yeah. No, and we've had you, me, Lex, our other executive producer on this, have talked about ideas manifesting, things manifesting, and turning into actual products. I want to come back to like the conversation that you were having around relinquishing the control over the group of creating this investment group, right? Because when I think about what you created, I automatically see Clubhouse as something like that, right? And some people could get salty and like, well, I have that idea. And then something that you had an idea around, you made it. But then somebody else took the idea and then like...
Yeah, I know where this is going.
Yeah, it evolves into something much greater, right? Like how does that make you feel seeing that like something like that exists? Because it now opens up the conversations for a multitude of topics, but it almost feels like what you created is that this is an amplified form of that.
Yeah, because a lot of people use that to talk about investing.
Yeah.
I look at it two ways. One, what I'm doing, I'm on the right path. Whether it's the group chat, investing. I was gaming before. I mean, people were gaming, but this whole e-gaming thing blew up not too long ago, right? So it's like, all right, I have that knowledge, right? So I feel like I was onto something, right?
Yeah.
Starting my group chat, seeing Clubhouse and other apps, build these communities where people have discussions. You know, I look at it, again, I do say, man, it'd have been nice to build out something like that with what I had. But, you know, I come to the realization that, I have to feel like I'm a part of that. Right? I feel like I'm a part of the community that the owners of Clubhouse surveyed and decided, hey, we're going to build something and we're going to have, we'll have rooms where people talk about investing or talk about X, Y, Z, right? So in part, I feel like I contribute to the information or to the value of a Clubhouse. And so for me, that says I'm on the right path. It gives me value to like the way I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You ever have an idea and you're like, man, I thought about that.
Yeah.
I used to be like, man, I wish I would've. But for me now, it's more like I see myself as a forward thinker, right?
Yeah.
I feel like any idea I have, if I put time into it, it'll be the product that I see other people do.
It sounds like it's these things materializing, these communities, these products, these services materializing are just a validation of like what you intuitively thought would happen if you had followed through with it. And so it's more confirmation, hey, I should just do that.
Yeah. Because it's been plenty of times I'd have conversations with people that are like, that's your idea. You doing that, or you should have been doing it. And I'm just like, yeah, that is my idea. It just means I got plenty of ideas. Like at any moment, I think I could shoot that idea and it'll grow. So I don't, personally, I've never really looked at it like that.
Yeah.
I'm always one who, if someone takes an idea and accelerates it, because again, there's two parts, right? There's an idea, but then there's the work that goes into it, right?
Totally.
Are you in a position to do that work?
Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of risk and responsibility that goes into doing that work.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people have ideas, but that work element to get to where it is, that's the most important part.
Yeah, and I think what you're sharing about your journey is like the level of commitment you're making, right? You're saying, I'm going to deprioritize this. Like you are laying a game plan around like how I actually get these things done. Like I need to create content. That means I'm going to have to ease off on my investment. Mm-hmm. I'm going to need to focus on investment. That means I may not be e-gaming as much as I'd like to, knowing that I can probably win a tournament or two. Like it's the trade-offs that you are allowing yourself to see and saying, you know what, this one may not be for me. And that kind of goes back to like the mentality in dominoes where it's like all money ain't good money, right? Mm-hmm. And like you can't put all your eggs in one basket to make this domino happen. That's a level of maturity, I think, right? Yeah. And like we can be overwhelmed by everything that we have to do, but sometimes maybe we're just there for the being a part of the generating of an idea, but it doesn't mean that we're supposed to be a part of the creation of it. Or when we do create it, doesn't mean that we're supposed to maintain it forever. It's we create a community. Yeah, like companies, CEOs sell their companies off to like people to be able to run it for them because they got other things that they want to focus on.
That's right. I think you can't always, everything you thought of, you can't be the creator of. Mm-hmm. Right? Some things are just a thought. When you see them come to life, again, it gives you validation that, hey, I was onto something. Like I'm thinking forwardly. Mm-hmm. But then it just, what can you take from the actions of someone else and tweak yours and do it better? Yeah. Or do it a different way.
Yeah, and that's what innovation is all about, right? Like you see something, I'm going to take 15 because I'm building off of what you built. It's something that I think when we think about the space that we're in now, like as we're creating this show and this series around dominoes, it's like podcasting has always been around, right? Like podcasting has been around for years. Yeah. But in the ways that we dynamic in podcasting is changing, right? Like we have shows where people are eating food and having conversations. There are people like sitting in cold baths having conversations. Like there are new forums in which we can take the conversation of podcasting, and it can look very different.
Yeah. And someone told me, like, so I've always heard like two trains of thought on this, right? One person would say, don't share your idea with people because they'll take it. And I met a guy actually here in the Bay Area, told me, he was like, I tell people about my idea all the time. He's like, because one, people are lazy. I could tell them about it. That doesn't mean they're going to do it. And then two, even if they go do it, they're missing the key component, which is me. So they're not going to do it like I do it.
Yeah.
Right? And that speaks to what you said about podcasts. Like, there are millions of podcasts out there, but each one is unique because of the people behind the camera.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, you know, that's what I find, even, you know, within, you know, my group chat versus Clubhouse, right? Yeah, Clubhouse has this huge community, but, you know, can Clubhouse look at a group and say, man, we started out with 3 and people are bringing people in, but they're also gaining this knowledge, and everybody in the community shares knowledge. So it's the difference in the tweaks that you make.
Yeah. Oh, it's on me, huh?
Yeah, it's on you.
Let's make it funky.
That's what we doing, huh?
That's what we doing.
You gonna spin it? That down on your hand?
Oh, you want me to spin it? Yeah, that feels good. Oh, man. And I'm going to take 15 and I'm out.
Ah, look at this.
Look at God.
Good God.
What is that? That's
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, to take that, I mean, even to the fact that you're making content around investing and like, and you know, building conversations. Like, you're working on this, but you're still doing your own thing, right? That has to be the fact that you continue to move forward without hesitation, knowing that there's always going to be another community being built, so there's going to be another conversation series about investing. Like, the fact that you, like, that's a pointed comment to make, like, the key ingredient is me.
Yeah.
And that is, again, that validation. Like, yeah, somebody can make it. But I'm not going to hate on the fact that somebody made it. It's like, with me in there, it's going to be a little bit different.
It's gonna be totally
that
different.
sauce is going to be different.
Yeah. Everybody has a different sauce. So it's like, again, ideas are just ideas, right? If you ain't took the stuff to put the sauce on it, then it's not a cake. Right? It's just eggs and flour.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for me, again, anyone can have my idea. Yeah, I imagine that there have been 20 other group me's outside of my group me built off of just what I did. And people say, you know what, I can do this a little bit better. And they got their own group me that I'm not even a part of, that they talk about investing. But they got the idea from me. That's what I want, right? Because essentially, I want people to have these conversations at their dinner table, right? So, but if people are leaving my group chat and going to make their own, for me, that was the purpose behind why I did it.
Yeah.
You know, to some extent, you got to have blinders on, because when you get to looking at what people are doing and they're taking my idea, and you start to lose focus of why you did it in the first place. So again, I think as the group started to grow, I didn't lose focus on why I created the group, right? It wasn't to get 1 million people in there to make money off of people. Yeah. It was to share the knowledge, right? Yeah. And so as long as that's what the group is doing, I could walk away and put it on autopilot, knowing that they're just sharing knowledge. Yeah. I don't have to constantly check it, because I'm not looking to capitalize financially off the group.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I could financially gain somewhere else, right? Yeah. If I need to spend more time there, I do that.
Yeah. Who are some of the people in your life that have been pivotal in that? Were there people that you see, like family members? And like, I always have to ask the question, like, who helped you realize some of these pillars and philosophies? Like, that's, I think, growing up in Jackson, like certain people in your community, like community members? Was it family members? Like, is it people that you met along the way around here? Like, who are those people?
Man, I've had a crazy path to get to the Bay Area. And I think my influence started back 6th grade. Like I think that's, well, outside of my family, right? I always looked up to my older brother. He wasn't the first in my family to go to college, but he was the most influential in me wanting to go to college. I always looked up to him. You know, he sacrificed a lot. He wanted to play ball. He moved from school to school. Like he sacrificed to live out his dream. Now, when I was growing up, 6th grade, and I tell people this great story. Like my older siblings all went to one school because they had 6th through 12th grade, right? So that school wanted to transition from a high school only 9th through 12th, and every year they're going to knock a grade out. So the year I was supposed to go, they knocked 6th grade out. So I had to end up going to another school, which was literally right down the street from my house. But it was the most hood school ever, right? You know, you go on Redfin and you look at the score of the school.
Yeah. It was as low as scores you can get.
One, all of the schools, right? So it was like one. So I'm like, now, if you can imagine, I went prior to when I was in elementary, I was going to a magnet school. And now Jackson, Mississippi isn't that diverse, but this magnet school was about as diverse as you could get, right?
Yeah.
You had black, white, Asian kids, all that, right? So that's what I knew. School down the street from me, all black, right? And all hood. So first day, right, I get in there. I'm just giving you a background of like the school I went to, right? I get there, kids are just all over the place, right? Teachers are yelling, kids are yelling. I walk out the gym. Now, mind you, I'm about as square as you can get in junior high. This young lady comes out the gym, was like, F you, B, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, wait, what? She's just like cursing, and the teachers are right there. And I'm like, wait, what?
Wow.
This is like 6th grade.
Damn.
So I'm just like, man, I cried every day. I didn't want to go. I'm telling you, I was square, right?
Shit.
So luckily, there was a guy out of Cambridge, Massachusetts that came down and started a program at my school called the Algebra Project, where they taught you concepts of math through gaming. Crazy, right? And so I was able to get in that program.
And this is after you started already like reading Game Pros and all of that.
This is. I had already been in Kmart looking at games.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I want to get in this one because.
And this is at the school, or this?
Yeah, this is at the school.
Wow.
So we would learn certain things throughout the day, but after school we'd be in this program. Now, one, I was in a program because again, it challenged me, but it also kind of kept me safe, right? Like you were a little bit shielded from the kids running down the hall fighting and all that stuff. So again, I needed to find some type of protection in this environment. So that program was very influential. One, because it accelerated my math skills, but it also allowed me to sharpen my gaming and teaching. Right? This is where I first learned to teach, because we would travel a lot and teach these gaming curriculums to other people. Wow. It also exposed me to traveling. 6th, 7th grade, I'm on the campus of Stanford teaching professors these games.
Wait, so you flying from Mississippi to Palo Alto? To Palo Alto. To facilitate e-gaming curriculum.
STEM curriculum.
STEM curriculum.
STEM curriculum.
Wow.
Stanford, we did a summer in Charlotte, North Carolina at a university. I had been to New York. So I had traveled like 6th, 7th grade. Not only that, by 7th grade, 7th or 8th grade, they were paying us, right? Because we had started to put together curriculums and we were selling them.
Wow.
So we were at this guy's house printing, binding books to ship out to sell so that these curriculums could be used throughout the United States. So we were making money. So that experience exposed me to working, creating a product, selling it, teaching the content. It just really opened me up to like just being exposed to a lot of different things. Yeah. So I credit a lot of who I am today to that experience. And I would not have been there if this school had not cut out 6th grade that I was supposed to. That's how things work. Now the crazy part about it, this is even crazier. I was born September 23rd. In Mississippi, September, I want to say 20th, is the cutoff to go to the grade that you're in, right? So let's just say you go to first grade at 6 if you're born before September 20th.
Yeah.
If you're born after September 20th, you have to wait
to the next school year.
To the next school year to go. So so I go to first grade 6, but 3 days later I turn 7. Now, if I had been born 3 days earlier, I wouldn't have been in that program.
You would have been at school with your siblings.
At school myself.
Wow.
So when I tell that story to people, how fortunate I am, just the small things, and I look at things differently because those little small things I don't know if I was born early or late.
Yeah.
Right?
You've given so much, backstory around gaming, investment, but like the integral piece of all of that was that you had this experience in middle school where you were going and facilitating and helping people learn STEM education at colleges. And now as an adult, you're doing the same things. You're just using the topics that are interesting to you.
Yep. So that was a big influence on my life. I think going through college, graduating, a lot of my friends and my peers, bits and pieces of their lives are influential on the decisions that I make and kind of how I move now. You go ahead, play. I know you got points.
I got 10.
He was anxious. I could always tell. This is one of those things where you watch your opponent. When we play, I can tell you got points the way you hold it.
I got it in my hand.
Cup it like.
It's like, it's like, I attribute to it when I got my first dollar when I was a kid. I would hold it real tight, like I'm going to the liquor store right now to buy all the Sour Patches, all them sour straws. That's how I hold it.
Yeah, so there's a little nuances you pick up. I'm like, he finna score. And guess what? I'm gonna go in the pool.
Oh my God.
Oh, this gonna be bad.
Oh my God.
Shit, let me take a look at this one more time. Make sure I'm not seeing things.
Yeah, like the conversation was
10.
Yeah, the things were supposed to manifest the way that they were, right? And you listen to that. I think that it's let me do that. So that was a huge and influential piece of your life is that program. Have you kept in contact with the educator?
Yeah, so a couple of the guys, not the educator, so I haven't talked to him in a while. His son, his daughter were very influential in the program. They worked the program as well. So I talk with them every now and then through social media, things like that. A few of the people that I came up as peers with in the program, I do communicate with them on a regular. And we share stories. And it's interesting to see the paths that they took after the program. A lot of them are working in fields that involve STEM and engineering and mathematics. And then there are some that are still in the program. Like they're now the creator of the program, right? They're running the program. They sit on the board of the program, right? Wow. They're training the students up to teach these programs. And so
that's incredible.
It's always, man, I always give credit to that program with kind of kickstarting or igniting that passion I have for learning, teaching, explaining, and understanding these concepts. Mm. All right, man, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna get out this. All right, this ain't gonna be fun. I feel like, yeah, this is about to be bad, huh?
Let me see. I'm gonna take 10.
All right.
Were there other important moments in your life that influenced your perspective, like this program?
As far as kind of what I'm creating or just as a person?
as a person and as what are your because I think a lot of who you are as a person influences what you create.
Yeah, when I moved out here, I ended up meeting a cousin through marriage, and a very influential person in the community. And I started to see how attainable wealth and financial stability was.
Yeah.
Because now I felt like it was in my bloodline.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times growing up, if our parents weren't savers, we aren't savers.
Yeah.
Like if our parents don't have the investment knowledge, we don't have the investment knowledge.
Right.
So when I met him and started to meet people like him, things became real. Like they became attainable. And so I started to say, wait, I can get this in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to get it on the tail end of this lifetime, right? I don't have to be retired and doing the things that I want to do. Like I can do it now.
Yeah.
So he definitely played a huge part in influencing my taste for things, right?
Yeah.
Like I mean, you go to the store if you want something to drink, you go get cheap liquor, right? I go to his house and he doesn't have anything cheap. You know what I'm saying? So now you get a different taste. Like my love for cigars came from him.
Yeah.
Right. All I knew before that was Swisher Sweets.
Yeah.
And it was like he didn't have any cheap cigars.
Yeah.
Like he did. It was like, so that stuff is attainable.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to settle for something else. Right now, your frequency of getting it.
Yeah.
Right now, I might not have 100 nice cigars on deck, but I can enjoy some of the nice things. And so it just changed the way I thought about things.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, that's that proximity to someone I think is gravely important in terms. Oh, wait, it's my turn to play too. I'll play this. I think about that in terms of my own path as an individual and as a professional. There were people that helped inform the way that I have built myself. Like I think when I think about my love for dominoes, I think like you, I was always into strategy. Like I wasn't a big video gamer, but like I always understood the X's and O's of things in sports. And so I think when I was a pretty good athlete, but I think I was better at understanding like where you needed to be. Like I'm a very technical, sound person when it comes to sports. Like I'm going to do the right things to be in the spot, but I wasn't always athletically gifted.
Yeah.
But I think being around dominoes early on helped inform me in like how you build strategy and build community. I came to the Bay Area, and dominoes is how I was able to kind of cultivate relationships. It's how I've been able to cultivate relationships, and the people that I've been able to cultivate relationships with. Like, you know, I wouldn't have known as much about investing if I hadn't met you. And so now it's like something that I find myself doing. Like I'm very much so like you in the sense that like my investing is on autopilot. I put more money into long-term holding than I do into trading because I just don't have the time, because I want to build this brand that I'm working on. But being able to build the brand has been me being around other creators like yourself to be able to see what y'all are doing. And so that influence and proximity to them and to you has been really crucial for me to be able to see that this is attainable.
Yeah.
Like I worked at a media company prior to starting my brand. It wasn't successful in the sense that we're still operating, but it was successful in the sense that it taught me some things about creating content.
Yeah.
And so I take that lesson. I'm like, oh, I had to have that experience and have those people around me to be able to make this thing happen right now. yeah, like I think that's great because I know about your love for cigars and love for, you know, your willingness to share, like, yo, whenever we've gone on trips, like you'll be, you know, telling us, hey, there's a spot we might want to check out.
I always got cigars on me. Like because I feel like it's more than just it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's all good. I'm gonna make a bet.
You want some rum? Shit.
Oh, okay. We cooking. One more time. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh, that's how you play it.
Yeah, man.
Well, we're gonna do this.
You want some rum or you want to try this this liqueur?
We'll try liqueur.
Okay. So again, we are on the Haitian spirits today. So this is Fay en May, and it's some bitters. I'm gonna give you some forest bitters. We'll sip a little. Taste it. Yeah. Salud, man.
Salud.
Appreciating this conversation we're having.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Funny story about...
Tastes like coffee, kind of.
Yeah. Has a coffee taste. Funny story about liqueurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you this. We were in Mexico, right? And this guy sold us some liqueurs like they were tequila. Now, mind you, we were gonna buy. We went in the shop.
Yeah.
We was like, what's a good tequila? Like I was ready to spend some money on some top shelf tequila, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, he did his whole thing. He was like, oh, you buy this bottle, you know, you can get this bottle. I'll give you these bottles for XYZ. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, cool. So me, again, being the little kid that wants to sit on the floor and read the magazine and figure out like what's going on, we walk away and in my mind, I'm like, how do I know I just didn't get scammed? Yeah. So we go to this other store, get some ice cream. I was like, how do you know if your tequila is fake? Right? That's what I type in. And they pull up, hey, you gotta look for this, you gotta look for this, it's gotta say this on the bottle, you gotta this on the bottle. So I pull up the bottle, I'm like, this bottle don't say any of that, right?
Wow.
So I'll go back to the store. I'm like, yo, is this real tequila? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, is this tequila? Now, legally, he can't say, yes, this is tequila because it's not.
Yeah.
He's like, it tastes just like, he was like,
It tastes just like tequila.
No, he said, it's from such and such. He never once said it was tequila. I said, all right, I'll tell you what. I was like, give my money back or we not gonna act a fool in here. So what he did was he sold us tequila, but then he like upcharged us so much on the liqueur and sold it to us like, oh, this is good tequila too, right? Yeah. You know, that just always sticks on me when I drink liqueur. I'm just like, man, this man got me. And even though he didn't give me my money back, he ended up giving me another bottle of it.
Yeah. Well, this is actually liqueur. Like this hasn't been sold at anything else.
No, this is good.
I'm kidding. Yeah, nah.
Oh man, that pisses me off.
But that kind of goes back to you know people, and I think your intention around creating the community that you did with GroupMe is being very transparent and having integrity in terms of what you're providing people. You're not just selling them a bad sale of goods.
Yeah.
You know? And so the fact that we as people, especially in the investment world, right? Like
yeah.
I see the headlines that people put on their Clubhouse forums or the YouTube commercials that I come across. Like people will be like, I'll make you a millionaire in 48 hours. And it's like, no.
That ain't how that works.
And so that's kind of like this. It's like someone will say you're buying tequila and you're actually not buying tequila.
And I take that personal, man, because I take it personal because, and I'll be the first one in my group chat to call someone out. Like, you know, if someone posts something that doesn't seem right, someone posted one of these multi-level marketing things like, hey, come out and I'll teach you X, Y, Z, right? Mm-hmm. I'll be the first person like, you know, where is it located? Oh, send me a message. I'll tell you. I was like, okay. Yeah. I was like, can you explain to us like what they'll be teaching. Oh, well, you got to come to the, and I'm just like, I was like, well, you've been in here.
Yeah.
And you've been receiving a lot of this information. I was like, if you can't give information, I was like, it looks very shady.
Yeah.
And I try to do it in a taste, but like a couple years ago, like I would just like snap on people like in the chat. Not necessarily snap, but I'd be really, really like slick with how I'm asking like information. But again, I take that personal because again, we for so long have a bad taste in our mouth about investing and money and how we look at money, right? Because we spend money, we want to get something.
Yeah.
Investing, you got to think different, right?
Yeah.
You got to think, I'm spending money, something tangible I don't have to hold in my hand. You just got to know that there's this stock out there that somebody's holding for me, that when I come to cash it in, they're going to give me more money than I put in. But again, we have to learn that. And when we get burnt with the whole investing thing, it leaves a bad taste in our mouth.
Totally.
So I try to avoid giving people that bad taste.
Is it on me?
It's on you, yeah.
Damn it. I was hoping you would say, no, it's on me. And then I would be able to watch you pull. What am I going to do here?
All right, this is interesting now. Ooh, let's see. All right, give me the same strategize. Let's go. Bear with it.
Gosh. Are you serious? Yo, that's wild. That's really wild.
All right, I'm going to take... let's see.
See, that's why I'm not going to be inviting league players onto this show anymore, because y'all be doing this.
All right, so we'll do... We'll do 15.
Okay. You closed out your first house. Not that. How many you got in your hand?
Dos. That's 2 in Spanish.
That's 10 in Spanish. I'm going to do that. Okay. They might just watch us get really... Because, you know, after that first episode with Monty, I can't let what happened to me happen again. Because that was destructive. This is what? This is nothing.
All right. This is nothing. But I don't want to.
So
tough.
While you playing, I don't want to distract you. How did you come up with your moniker and brand, TheBlkNrd?
So growing up, I was again when I first came to school, I was square, right? I was smart, but I didn't really have social skills. I think I got a lot of that just off of being always being kind of separate from everybody. But I was really, really smart. So going to that school, being around a different environment, I learned to adapt. Right? I was always, I was always a funny kid, right?
Yeah.
I could tell a joke, I could keep people laughing. So I tell these jokes, but I also do my work, right? And I figured out, all right, I was like, all right, how do I be the cool kid? Because like, you get picked on when you're smart.
Yeah.
All right. So I was like, all right, how can I be smart but still be cool?
Yeah.
Right. So I do my work quickly, and then I just joke with everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't sit there and do my work and turn it in and just be quiet. Right. I do my work fast and turn it in. So then everybody was like, oh, what I'm saying, he's a cool kid. Like he's not doing his work either. Little did they know I was doing my work. So I wanted to change the connotation of what a nerd is. All right. So as I grew up, I didn't play ball. I went into the band. Right. I played ball here and there, but not on a collegiate level. I went into the band, so I played in the band. I knew math, but I was also part of the cool kids.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, all right, this whole nerd thing, what people perceive a nerd to be isn't like well, I consider myself a nerd because I'm a geek for things.
Yeah.
But I'm still a cool kid.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, I wanted to change the connotation of what it was to be a nerd.
Nice.
Right. So that's why I call myself the Black Nerd.
Yeah.
Right. And then when people see me, they're like, oh, that's Hub, right? If you're from my hometown, that's Hub. That's he. You know what I'm saying? It's a funny story, right? I graduated when I was graduating in college. I was standing in the line for engineers, right? And people that I was in college with was like, "You an engineer?" Right? That's how I want people to think, right? I want there's a nerd part about me, but you can still be part of the cool kids, right? And so just breaking that whole being a nerd sitting in the corner not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's do this.
Hi. What is going on here? What is going on here? Let me... You knock. Okay. Okay. Let's see. What do I got here? Sheesh. You're gonna... Well, I might as well... Yeah. I'm gonna take 10. Let's close out that house. You're gonna knock on that.
No.
Oh, you not? You dominoed?
No.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna do this for 15.
Damn. Yo, I pulled out a domino from the jump. What we not gonna do is, but a point you made. You did make a point earlier about relinquishing like some of your control.
Yeah.
And I think again, as a creative, you have to get to a point where you relinquish a lot of your control.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot, and I think people often say like to be financially wealthy or whatever, you got to have. I bet you know how many streams of income.
At least 4?
You say 4. The crowd, how many did people say?
Huh?
How many streams of income do you have to have?
To make a, didn't they say 5?
Okay, y'all don't read nothing. All right. 7, right?
7 streets.
Y'all never heard that? 7?
You're right.
7, right?
7?
Well, whether you say 7 or 4 or 5 or whatever, I think there's a reason behind that other than creating wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the people who came up with that understood that you can't do it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No one can have 7 jobs.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Right? You can barely do 3 things 100%.
Yeah.
Right? So where a lot of people say, oh, you need to have 7 streams of income to be wealthy, I think they miss the why you're having 7. Right? To have the 7 is so that you bring other people on board.
Yeah.
And that's like, you won't become wealthy by yourself.
Yeah.
It's impossible. People that post, oh, I did this on my own. No. All right? Because even if you're selling a product, there's no way you can do it on your own. Right? You need people to buy the product. Yeah. You need people to buy into you. You have to be a person that people like to purchase from, right? So in order to create 7 streams, you got to bring people in.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing about creating wealth. Yeah. You have to bring people in. Yeah. You have to relinquish some control. You have to give people value.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree with that. Related to us putting this series and this production, this thing could not be done in a vacuum by myself. It's the conversations with multiple groups of people and individuals, but it's every single person in this room playing a piece in the creation of this, right? From the cameras that we use, to the editing that we do, to the sound and mastering, to like even the little pieces of furniture and the spirits, like that's all contributions from different individuals, right? You may not see them on camera, but they are here. And in order for that to happen, it's that transfer of energy between all of us, and you know, I can see myself as being a part, like a conduit for bringing those groups of people together, but the collaboration between all of us doesn't work unless like you're saying, unless I relinquish some of that control.
Yeah.
Like
the
willingness to work and collaborate is a huge piece of that.
Yeah.
Is it on me to pull?
It's on you to pull it.
You at 50, I'm at 75.
Okay.
Or at 175, I mean.
All right, get it right now. Man, no,
oh,
you
50.
At
I'm at
125.
Yeah.
Calm down over there.
4 houses. Yeah, you're trying to confuse me, man.
Nah.
Yeah, man. I'm at 125. Yes, I'm at 125.
Here, I just want everybody to know, you got to watch these people that take score.
Yo, you ain't going to be singing those songs today on me.
Hey, that's my thing. People don't know that's my thing. Like, when I'm winning in dominoes, like video games, right? And I'm sitting next to somebody and you know you beating them.
Yeah.
Like the worst, for me, the worst thing you do is just start singing.
Yeah.
It makes people so irritated because it's like nothing they can do, and it's like you having so much joy.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like you happy. It's like you have joy.
Yeah.
And it's like you have joy in the face of somebody's defeat.
Yeah.
And that pisses people off. Now look, what we're not gonna do is keep on pulling these dominoes.
That's funny. So how is damn?
You know, I'm gonna put my dominoes up like the old folks. Cause this ain't gonna. All right.
Yeah, man. We've met some interesting people playing dominoes.
Yeah.
I will say that.
A lot of characters.
A lot of characters. There's a lot of people that come to the table like, oh, y'all don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and that'd be the oh, you about to get what you're asking for a moment. I remember I was playing Madden heavy, right? I had just transitioned to that 1% and 2%.
Yeah.
And I was dating somebody at the time, and we ended up going to Chicago, and her cousin was playing Madden. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. He was like, oh, you play Madden? I said, yeah. Oh, you don't want this. You don't want this. And I was like, I don't know.
You in the 1% to 2%?
Ended up putting like 76 points up.
Oh, my God.
Quick. And it's because I understood that it was a computer. All right, so
you wasn't playing against homie.
I wasn't playing. I was playing against his computer system. Right, I was beating his system.
You didn't realize you was Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah, the byproduct was 76 points. Damn. But to your point, like we do run into some interesting people that y'all playing dominoes. That's the what do you call it? That's what they say. That's how you know they don't know how to play. Well, I won't say that, but that perks my ear up, and I'm like, oh, buddy, he about to sit down. He about to get something he don't want.
Yeah, totally true. And I think some of the best domino players that I've played against are nerds. They're nerds.
Yeah,
they are individuals who, like yourself and like myself, like study all of the ways that you might be able to score or might be able to lock something out. Like, there's just a level of strategy. There's a genius behind it all.
Yeah. Some of the best domino players I've seen play will sit there and like won't say anything.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting when I'm watching them play to watch their eye movement. Like, are they looking at people? Are they looking at the dominoes? Like, what is it about them that makes them good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna speed this up.
You're gonna speed this up? You sure you want to do
that? You're gonna get yourself in trouble.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Let me see.
Let me see. Let me count that. Let me count that back.
Count that real quick. All right.
I'm playing everything based off on probability right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what I want to do here.
Wow. Look at God. I'm gonna take 10.
You got one left?
Yep.
Oh, man. This is tough right here. I don't want to lose on camera.
It's okay.
It's all right. All right.
I mean, you're
So let's
winning because
do-
you're helping create the show. So
See,
it's a win-win in life.
This is, you know what I'm saying?
You're always going to be a winner.
I just want to be able to sing my song. All right, let's do.
The executive producer.
Yo.
I just want to be.
We're going to put a tally mark next to your executive producer name. Like, just
All right, let's go. We'll go here.
Nice. Well played.
All right.
You back in here, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little something. The funny thing about dominoes is like you could be winning,
Yeah.
and then it's like you hit a slump,
Yeah.
and it's like you can't even pull yourself out of it.
Yeah. That's so true. And I'm hoping that, you know, I hope what you said, I'm going to get myself into some trouble, comes to fruition.
Let's see.
So on the topic of dominoes, what's your strategy going into it? Are you looking to score? Are you trying to find ways to maintain domino?
When I'm playing one-on-one,
Yeah.
a lot of it is scoring.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you got to pool if you don't have it.
Yeah.
If I'm playing, you know, we got 4 people at the table, I'll play.
15 in domino.
Oh, that's terrible. You would have a. Oh,
It's
man.
10.
Yeah. This game is, like, I don't even know. Okay. So now, because you're up so much,
Yeah.
I've got, for me, strategy-wise, I'm playing to get domino.
Okay.
If you weren't up, I'd just be trying to get something.
So related to dominoes, and if this is more specific to the series, like, what was it for you to be a part of this? Like, what made you say, you know what, this is something that I would want to do, like the series?
Yeah, so I remember when we first started talking about, like, you know, creating this series and like having these conversations. We were already having these conversations.
For real. For real.
I mean, we talked about everything from life to love to climate change to sports to, I don't know, politics. So, but it was all centered around playing dominoes. So for me, it feels like I've already kind of sewn into the creation of this. So to see you, right, we had the idea. Again, idea is one thing, but putting the sauce on it and running with it is another thing. But for me, knowing I was a part of the idea and seeing kind of the work you had did prior to me coming on board with uplifters, the things you were doing in the community, and you had become such a influential piece of the community centered around dominoes. When you took the idea and took it to the next level, I was like, I really want to be on one of these episodes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's my contribution to what you're doing. Right, again, whether I feel like we came up with the idea together, we shared the idea, I knew even if I came up with it, the sauce you put on it was going to be better than what I could have put on it because it's been a passion of yours this whole time.
Yeah.
So me being a part of it, I feel honored just being a part of what you created and kind of how you thought about the process. So, like I said, man, it's been conversations. We created a brotherhood, and not just a brotherhood, but a family around it with the people that we've, brought into the circle, that we've grown relationships with, things like that. So it feels even more personal when I put my hands on these dominoes and we're sitting around talking, and this comes full circle.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about the league expanding outside of the community that created it, you were, if not the first person, but one of the first people that I saw come into the community that I was connected to.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when we talked about it in the Monty episode, there were game nights where there was only 2 people at our game night, and those 2 people were you and me. And or 4 people, whatever. It was a small group, but I remember being there by myself, and you were always there.
Yeah.
And when we would get invited to, or I'd get invited to something and I needed help, you were the first person I could call on.
Yeah.
Like, Monty would call us and be like, yo, I'm doing an event here. Would love for you to have domino tables. I'm like, yo, I need help. And you're like, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
Festivals around the community. You've always been an integral piece of the puzzle to make this happen. So, I mean, the conversation started over at Red Bay, like, let's just record ourselves. You're like, I'm gonna bring a mic and we're gonna mic up and we're just gonna talk. And lo and behold, we pull up at Red Bay, and who's sitting having coffee? Monty.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the conversation, and Lex is the person that comes into the picture as part of our, as finishing out our team to be able to start the series.
Yeah, talking about, we mentioned people who are influential, right? In each stage of my life, there are people that I take things from that are influential in getting me to different levels. But, I was always interested in doing, teaching people, right, about investing. And I never really was good at the whole social media live streaming thing, right? I enjoyed going and seeing people where they were, right? I love seeing people's faces, because when you're talking to people, you can adjust your tone, your method by looking at their facial expressions. But I knew with what was going on in the pandemic, right, to get the message out, I need to adjust and hit this social media thing. So one of my friends, Courtney, right, he called me. He was like, man, what are you doing? And he had started his own business. He knew where I wanted to go, and he called me. He was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, just sitting. It was a Sunday. He was like, let's jump on Instagram Live. And my first instinct was like, no, I'm like, right then, all these questions came in my head, like, what are we gonna say? What are we gonna do? And he was just like, man, let's just jump on. We'll figure it out. Yeah. So I was like, all right. And so we jumped on, and literally, like, I went back to the first video we recorded. It's still posted. And we're on camera, and I'm like, all right, so hit the button. I'm gonna send you the button. Hit the button. No, you got to do this. You got to. And this is like broadcasting. People are watching. Like, and we're just figuring it out.
Yeah. Totally.
I knew how important it was for him to. I knew how important it was when he pushed me to just start. Yeah. And so I knew you needed somebody, whether it was me or somebody in your ear or multiple people in your ear saying, just start.
Yeah, no, and you literally were. I think the conversation started, you put out that episode, and I saw it, and I'm like, yo, this is dope. And he's like, yeah, I just started recording. And I was like, no, I really want to do this series. You're like, bro, you literally need to just do it. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it comes out. Like, you'll get better over time. And that was the little kick in my ass that I needed, was you saying to me, like, hey, you can do it. But not only did you say you can do it, but for me, it was seeing that you were doing it. So as much as you would say I'm an influence on you, like, you were influential on me in terms of, oh, he's doing it. This can actually be done. Like, when you talk about bringing back, like, kind of circling back to you seeing your cousin and the proximity to being able to say, like, wealth is attainable. Like, I needed to see someone that I knew and was really close to to be able to say, oh, I can actually do this too. And that's literally how this has been built. Like people don't really may not know the backstory of that. It's like we've been having these conversations. We've been linking up and sitting in kitchens and in dining rooms playing dominoes, and everybody was saying, hey, we should record these conversations that we're having.
It was like, even like where we would get together, I'd show up with my 2 little mics. Yeah. Like 4 of us at a table, I'd show up with my mic. The quality was horrible. Mm-hmm. And I think about it now, like, even though we didn't put any of that out, I think it was good for us to see it, right? And to just be around and like, all right, well, we did that before, or we've done that. Yeah. And so I just, over the years, I've learned the importance of not only just doing it, but when you see the idea in somebody, like I saw the idea in you and I saw it bubbling and I knew you wanted to do it and you had a passion for doing it. Yeah. I feel good knowing, not necessarily saying, he's got a good idea, let me go do it because I can do it better. Yeah. I feel good because I'm able to push you or be a part of you getting to where you want to get to, right? And seeing this. So when I see this and I see these episodes come about, I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm good with knowing that, I pulled up on him with a microphone. Yeah. I pulled up on him with my camera that was horrible quality. We recorded a couple of episodes near a train and we couldn't even hear what was going on. What we were saying. But in my mind, I'm just like, I planted that seed, right? Yeah. And again, circling back to what I talked about earlier, creating a group chat, I, to some extent, feel like I'm a part of the community that gave these apps like Clubhouse and people that leave and create their own groups, gave them the encouragement or the kick in the butt or the idea that they can do it. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's the gift that we continue to, I think, live with, is knowing that we can help these things manifest. 5.
I'm about to make a comeback.
Okay.
Wait, you in your 4th house?
I'm already in my 4th house.
Okay,
yes.
probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. I'm just
gonna take 10. I mean, I think it took a lot of those conversations happening, at least for me, to build the confidence to be able to do it. And I think without people, this thing would not, again, it just kind of reiterates that point of this would not come about without people like being involved. I think Kumar, who's our sound engineer, like he and I remember he's an amazing producer, but he was working on music and I was like, yo, I got this concept for an idea. And it was like, we were going to take movies and we were going to make soundtracks to movies, and it would all be centered around Valentine's Day. Like these little mixtapes that we put together, and we would like put together a playlist, and we would take the playlist and then we would mix it down and then take sound bites from the movie and like create parallels to that story within the music that we were featuring. I didn't know how we would be able to get it done. We had an idea, and Kumar was like, yo, that's tight. Yeah. And we put it out on Valentine's Day, and we did like 3 subsequent Valentine's Day mixes together. But that was like the relationship we built over that project. And now he's a part of this. And it's like, I watched his evolution. He watched my evolution around creating things. And now we're able to create this thing together with him as a part of the team. And like, that's always been like my belief in this, is like, I never want to do this stuff alone. I never wanted to create a domino event alone. Like, I'm glad I have people in my community that see the passion, and like, I hope that shines through all the time. And whenever it's something that I'm working on. That's not 15.
No, yeah. I didn't call anything.
Oh, did you play that?
You called.
I called 10.
Yeah, and then I played. So it's on you.
Oh, damn it.
You didn't want that 10?
I did want that 10.
Okay. I mean, you could take it off.
I did take it though.
You did?
I did take it.
I'm finna know if you didn't want that too.
I want this 10.
Look at this.
But yeah, I think the winning formula for us is that we are building something where we all have been involved in this domino community. Mm-hmm. And, I want this to be something that the homies that we've had these conversations with can be proud of, right? Yeah. Like the Domino League is the greatest influence on this thing manifesting. Like if I wasn't a part of the Domino League, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I think everything that we're creating kind of has been shaped by the domino table. Yeah. Like the things you work on, it's like we're able to like tap into resources based on the community that we have within the domino community and the investment community. Mm-hmm. Like community is a huge part of all of this.
Yeah. And community allows you to practice and work on your skills. Like I think
I'll take 10.
Oh, you really trying to win, huh? You 5 out?
Yeah, I'm 5 out.
Ah, look at this. Look at this. You are something else.
But community.
No, hold on. Let me think. You are something else. All right, let me take that same 10. All right, come on. All right. No, but I think building that community allows you to like practice, right? If I didn't have that community of investment, that investment group, I wouldn't be as skilled as I think. Not that I'm some guru or something, but I wouldn't have that skill set. I wouldn't be able to build my skill set up teaching, right? I use my community. I'm giving them value, but they're also giving me value, right? They're allowing me to explain concepts over and over and over again, so that now they kind of flow, right? For me, I look at even building content now. Shooting that first live on Instagram, right? Looking at how terrible it was. We actually shot an episode yesterday, and I could see the value in us doing that over and over again, in him and in myself when I went back and watched it. Yeah. Like it just flows, right? And so that's the value. And so, but that wouldn't have been created if it hadn't been for a community, or if it hadn't been for somebody else. Yeah. Because who do you bounce ideas off of? Who do you get critiques from? So, oh man. You got 1?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I feel like I was set up.
How?
Oh, no. Ugh. All right. Look at this.
10 and I'm out.
Wow. You would. And that was the first one you pulled, huh?
Yeah. But we're creating a community.
No, hold on. First of all. Yo. All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's all good. No, I mean,
Nah, but I think the community, like, what is your vision for the community? Like, in terms of what you're manifesting and creating.
I want to build a community where we can tap into resources, right? Where so again, my idea, build this community around finances. And not necessarily that the next level is going to be strictly finances, but my main goal was to get people to trust the information. Right? I was building trust in myself. And I think that's why I go so hard when people say things or blurt out things that go against kind of like what I believe in, because I want people to trust me, right, with the information that I'm giving them, and be transparent. So that now when I go to the next level and I give people information, we have a space where we can go and we can pull information from that we trust, right? Because there's a lot of information out there. Yeah. You go on YouTube, one post says this, one post says that. Like, what do you trust?
Yeah.
Right. But when you build a community from people that you trust, and you know that those people that have curated that space have your best interests at heart. They see you go to bat when false information is put out or when people try to mislead you. You can trust those people. So that's my goal, is to build that community of people, build that community, but also build that database, I guess, or whatnot, of information that people can trust and go to. That we have resources that we pull from all the time.
So, appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, man.
I know this wasn't the way you wanted to end.
This is not how I foresaw it. I did not dream this.
You did not.
This is not the dream.
Nah, but I appreciate you, bro.
Man, appreciate you, bro.
Man.
Good
This
game.
has been a good game, yeah. A great conversation.
Oh.
We'll get another one in.
Yeah.
You get to watch, other victims of mine get on the table.
Look, I feel like I was kind of set up a little bit. I had to pull like 2 games back to back. It's all good.
It's all good.
It's a wrap.